My beloved child, there is a moment approaching your life that no one around you is prepared for. Not your closest friends. Not the people who know you well and love you deeply. And certainly not the professionals who sit behind the counters of the financial institutions where your name and account number have existed quietly for years, where deposits have come and gone in modest streams, where nothing in the history of your account would have predicted what is about to arrive. Those professionals, trained for large transactions, educated to handle extraordinary sums, experienced in the language of wealth, are about to see something that causes them to stop completely. They will look at the number that appears on their screen. They will blink. They will look again. They will call a colleague over, point at what they are seeing, and say words they have never spoken together in that building. We have never processed anything like this before. And they are right. They have not. Because what is moving through the corridors of heaven's economy right now, what is being dispatched from my eternal treasury to your name, does not fit any category that human financial systems were designed to process. $1 trillion check has been made out to you. It carries your name. It bears the seal of the Almighty. And the entire bank is about to be shocked. Opening hook. The bank that has never seen this before. My beloved child, I want you to sit with that image for a moment, not to feed your imagination with something fantastical, not to offer you entertainment dressed in spiritual language, but to allow a divine symbol to deposit something real into the deepest chambers of your faith. The image of the bank being shocked is not about drama. It is not about spectacle for its own sake. It is a symbol of magnitude, the kind of magnitude that testifies to who I am, that announces my presence in a language that the world cannot ignore, that creates a visible, undeniable monument to the reality that I am a God who provides beyond what any human system was built to contain. For too long, the financial spaces of your life have looked ordinary. The numbers that have moved through your accounts have been reasonable, manageable, human-scaled. And in that ordinary season, in that long season of modest provision, you have been something remarkable. You have been faithful. You have given when you had little left to give. You have believed when the circumstances around you formed an airtight case against belief. You have worshipped in seasons of financial pressure with a sincerity that moved me deeply. You have whispered my name in the darkness of the early morning hours when the numbers on the paper didn't add up, when the accounts were thin and the obligations were heavy, when you wondered if anyone in heaven was paying attention. I want to tell you something important. Every single moment of that faithfulness was seen. Not just observed passively, not just noted and filed away, but seen with the full attention of the one who created you, who knows your name, who has not for a single second taken his eyes off your life. I was watching when you chose trust over despair. I was present when you reached into a nearly empty wallet to give something away, believing that generosity was still the right posture. I was there when you got on your knees in a moment of genuine crisis and said, even with your voice shaking, God, I still believe you. I recorded every one of those moments, and what I record, I do not leave unreturned. Because here is a truth about how I operate that the enemy desperately wants you never to understand. I do not operate on a system of spiritual debt where what you do for me cancels out. That is not the economy of heaven. The economy of heaven operates on grace, multiplied by faith, expressed through purpose. What you have invested in believing me, in trusting me, in following me through the hard terrain of lack, that investment does not simply disappear. It is held, it is valued, it is preserved in the ledgers of eternity with a supernatural interest rate that no human bank could offer. And when the appointed time comes, when the alignment is complete, when the preparation is finished, when the purpose is ready to receive the resource, what has been held is released, all at once, in full, with interest that makes the original investment look almost small by comparison. That time has come. What is being released over your life in this season is not proportional to ordinary blessing. It is proportional to the cumulative weight of everything you have believed, every year you have stood, every prayer you have spoken, every act of faithfulness you have performed when no one was watching but me. And when heaven operates in proportion to decades of accumulated faith, the natural world cannot contain it comfortably. It overflows every boundary. It exceeds every container. It causes trained observers to stop and call their supervisors, because what is flowing into your life belongs to a category they have never been trained for. The trillion-dollar check is the symbol of that overflow. It is my way of saying to you, in the language of your world, in the vocabulary your culture uses for the unimaginably large, what is coming toward you exceeds the largest concept available to human language for wealth. The bank being shocked is not an accident. It is testimony. And the testimony was always part of the plan. So I speak to you now not simply as a message of encouragement, but as a preparation. What is coming requires a vessel that is ready. An extraordinary blessing received by an unprepared spirit creates chaos, not transformation. An overwhelming provision received by a heart that is still in the posture of scarcity will be mismanaged, misspent, and ultimately lost. So I am speaking to you now, before the check arrives while the provision is still in transit, because I need you to be positioned, spiritually, emotionally, in the orientation of your mind and the readiness of your character. This message is the preparation. Receive it as such. Let every word go deep. And understand that the reason I am speaking this specifically to you, at this specific time, is not coincidence. You were led to this message. In the grand architecture of divine preparation, you landing here, in this moment, receiving these words, is itself a sign that the check is closer than you think. You were chosen, the divine selection before time. My beloved child, I know the question that rises in your heart when you hear a message like this. I know it because I placed it there, not to torment you, not to disqualify you, but to answer it through this very encounter. The question is ancient, and it is personal, and it is rising in you right now. Why me? Of all the people in the world who have prayed with more eloquence, who have served with more consistency, who have believed with more visible confidence, why would something of this magnitude be directed specifically toward my life? What makes me the one? Receive my answer now, and let it settle into the deepest place of your believing. You were not chosen because you are the most gifted person in the room. You were not chosen because your faith has been perfect, because you have never doubted, because every prayer you have spoken has been formed with theological precision and unwavering certainty. You were not chosen because your record is without blemish, or your history is free from the kind of failures that you would rather not have recorded anywhere. If perfect performance were the criterion for my extraordinary provision, then no human being would ever receive anything extraordinary from me, because no human being has ever maintained perfect performance. Performance is not my standard. Purpose is. You were chosen because before the foundations of this world were laid, before time was set into motion, before a single choice had been made in the story of your life, I looked at the full scope of what you would become through every season you would walk through, every mountain and every valley, every failure and every triumph, every wound and every healing, every season of darkness and every morning of restoration. And I selected you for this. I selected you not because of who you are now, but because of who I have been making you into across the entire length of your story. And the person I have been making you into is exactly the kind of person I can trust with what I am about to release. This is the mystery of divine election in the realm of provision. I do not choose randomly, but I also do not choose based on the human criteria of worthiness. I choose based on a foreknowledge of purpose. I choose based on the full vision of what a life will become and what it will accomplish, and what it will deposit into the world when it has been fully resourced. And when I look at your life, not just where you are right now, but the full trajectory of where you are headed, I see something that requires the provision that is coming. I see a scope of assignment that cannot be fulfilled with ordinary resources. I see a calling that is larger than your history of limitation would suggest, and that calling has always been the reason for the magnitude. Let me be even more specific. You were chosen for this level of provision because the assignment you carry requires it. And the assignment you carry was given to you before you had any resources to fulfill it. which means you have been walking the terrain of your calling with insufficient supply, doing what you could with what you had, honoring what I placed on your life with tools that were too small for the work. I have seen that. I have watched every act of faithfulness performed with undersized resources. I have witnessed every time you tried to build with less than the work required. And this release, this trillion-dollar provision, is my answer to every season of not enough. It is the moment when the resource is finally made proportional to the assignment. There is also this truth, and I need you to receive it without dismissing it. You were chosen because there is something in you that was never fully broken by the seasons of lack. Something that bent under the weight of financial pressure but never shattered. Something that grew quieter during hard seasons but never went silent. That stubborn, quiet, persistent faith, the kind that keeps showing up in the morning even when the evening before gave no encouragement. That quality is what marks you as someone I can trust with extraordinary provision. Because the danger of extreme blessing is not in its size. The danger is in the character of the one who carries it. And what you have developed through the years of faithfulness in limited seasons is exactly the character required to carry what is coming without being destroyed by it. In the first pinned comment, I have prepared a sacred gift. 7 days of angelic whispers for financial peace and blessing, set aside specifically for you. It is not sold to you. It is a revelation released to you. Go now and receive it. Now, core theme. 1. Why God moves in extraordinary ways. My beloved child, I want to take you behind the curtain of my ways. Not to make my workings predictable or mechanical. I will never be fully predictable because my character is too rich and my creativity too vast to be reduced to a formula. But to give you an understanding of why there are seasons when I move quietly and seasons when I move in a way that leaves no one in doubt that something divine has happened. Because this is one of the second kind of seasons, and you need to understand why. There are periods in every life where my work is almost invisible, a gradual reshaping that happens over years, so subtle in its movement that even the person experiencing it barely notices the change until they look back and realize how far they have come. Those seasons are precious beyond measure. They produce a depth of character, a richness of spirit, a quality of relational intimacy with me that the dramatic moments simply cannot manufacture. The quiet seasons are where roots grow deep. And deep roots are what allow tall growth to survive the wind. But there are other moments, appointed moments in the eternal timeline of a life, when I choose to move in a way that cannot be whispered about, ways that cannot be attributed to chance or strategy or human cleverness, ways that require an explanation that only one word can provide: God. There are moments when I decide that the time for subtle is finished, that the time for invisible is over, that the accumulation of faith and faithfulness and quiet trust has produced something that must now be expressed in a form visible enough to testify, large enough to be undeniable, and precise enough in its timing to make clear that what is happening is not natural. Why would I choose this way of operating? There are reasons that matter deeply, and I want you to carry each one. The first reason is that sometimes the magnitude of the blessing is the message. Not just to you, but to everyone who observes what happens in your life. When I release something over a person that cannot be explained by natural means, the supernatural becomes impossible to dismiss. The people in your world who have been skeptical, who have watched your faith with polite tolerance or secret doubt, who have never quite been able to believe that what you believe about me is really true, those people will be confronted by what happens in your life with a reality they cannot argue with. The bank being shocked is not a side effect of your blessing. It is part of the testimony that your blessing produces. And that testimony, the story of what happened to you, is the message I am preparing to send through your life to everyone watching. The second reason is this: there are seasons in which ordinary provision would actually obscure the truth rather than reveal it. If what I release over your life in this season was proportional to what natural processes might explain, a modest increase, a slightly better year, a small windfall, then people watching might nod and say, "How nice," and move on. The message would not land. The testimony would not disrupt. But when the provision arrives at a magnitude that exceeds every natural explanation, every human process, every previous pattern, then the message lands with force. Then people stop and ask questions. Then conversations happen that would not have happened otherwise. Then the reality of my existence and my love and my engagement with human lives becomes not an argument to consider, but an event to respond to. The third reason is perhaps the most personal. I am a God who delights in exceeding expectation. It is in my character to do more than you thought I would do. It is in my nature to surprise you with the scale of my goodness. I do not release ordinary provision over a life full of extraordinary faith simply because ordinary is easier to manage. I release what is proportional to who I am. And who I am is boundless, overflowing, magnificently excessive in generosity. The trillion-dollar moment is not outside my character. It is the fullest expression of it. And one more reason, perhaps the most practical. What you are being equipped to do in this next season of your life requires resources of this magnitude. The work I have written for you to accomplish, the lives you are meant to impact, the communities you are called to transform, the legacy you are positioned to leave. These things require funding. Extraordinary assignments require extraordinary provision, and so when I look at the scope of what is written over your life, I am not being extravagant by releasing at this level. I am being exactly proportional to the task. Core Theme 2, the trillion-dollar concept, heaven has no ceiling. My beloved child, I need to speak to you about numbers. Not to confuse you, not to send you into a spiral of calculating and imagining and building financial fantasies in your mind, but to do the opposite, to free you from the limitations that human number systems have placed on your capacity to receive what I am releasing over your life. $1 trillion, written out numerically, 1 followed by 12 zeros. A number so vast that the ordinary human mind can barely approximate it. It has to use comparisons to reach for it, to say things like, if you spent $1 million every single day, it would take 2,700 years to spend $1 trillion. The largest corporations on Earth are worth fractions of $1 trillion. The annual economic output of entire nations barely approaches it. In the vocabulary of human economics, $1 trillion is the boundary of comprehensibility, the edge of what human language for wealth can actually hold. And I am using that number, that boundary of comprehensibility concept, to point towards something that exceeds it. Here is what I need you to understand at a profound level. The $1 trillion check is not a financial projection. It is not a promise that a specific number with 12 zeros is being transferred into a specific account. It is a spiritual declaration, a symbolic expression using your world's largest available concept for wealth to communicate something that actually exceeds all human concepts for wealth. The trillion is not the size of the provision. The trillion is the nearest thing your vocabulary has to describing what infinite provision, released over a specific life at the appointed time, actually looks like in its effects. Heaven does not have a ceiling. My treasury does not have a bottom. I am not distributing from a finite reserve that diminishes with every release. I am the creator of all wealth in every form: physical, natural, economic, spiritual. Every mineral in the earth belongs to me. Every profitable transaction that occurs anywhere on this planet occurs within my sovereignty. Every stream of income, every commercial relationship, every financial door that opens or closes, all of it exists within the framework of my governance. When I decide to release provision over a life, I am not drawing from a limited store. I am redirecting what is already mine from where it currently sits to where my purpose requires it to flow. This is the $1 trillion concept, not a specific sum, but an orientation, a direction of flow from unlimited source toward your specific life in proportion to the purposes I have encoded in your existence. And the number that represents that flow, when it expresses itself in your natural circumstances, will exceed every calculation you have made about what is possible for you. Not by a modest margin, not by a pleasant surprise, by the kind of margin that causes trained professionals to stop speaking mid-sentence and look at their screens with completely new eyes. But there is something even more important than the size of the provision, and I need you to receive this very carefully. The ceiling I am removing is not primarily a ceiling on your bank account. It is a ceiling on your believing. The enemy has used your history of limitation as raw material to construct a ceiling in your mind, a self-imposed upper limit on what you consider possible for your life. He has taken every season of financial hardship and every closed door, and every time the numbers didn't work, and built from them a structure inside your thinking that says, this is the maximum you should expect. Don't get your hopes too high. Be realistic. Look at your history. And you have lived under that ceiling for so long that it has started to feel like truth rather than like the limitation it actually is. The trillion-dollar concept is the divine demolition of that ceiling. It is me saying to you in the most emphatic language available, the ceiling you have been living under was never my design for your life. It was the enemy's construction in the architecture of your believing, and it is coming down. What I am releasing is not constrained by what you have experienced before. What I am sending toward you was not calculated from your history. It was calculated from my purpose, and my purpose has never had a ceiling. In the first pinned comment, I have prepared a sacred gift, 7 days of angelic whispers for financial peace and blessing, set aside specifically for you. It is not sold to you. It is a revelation released to you. Go now and receive it. Enemy tactics, he knows what has been written. Over your name, my beloved child, I must now speak to you about the one who does not want you to receive this. I must speak plainly, with love, but without softness, because the stakes involved in this season of your life are too high for gentle avoidance of a danger that is very real and very active. The enemy knows what has been assigned to you. He does not have my omniscience. He cannot know all of my plans or read all of my purposes with the clarity that I see them. But he has observed your life for long enough, watched the trajectory of my grace moving over you for long enough, tracked the accumulation of your faithfulness over years and decades, and he has made a calculation. He knows that you are approaching a moment of extraordinary release. He has seen the check being prepared. He cannot read the signature on it, but he has seen enough to understand that the provision heading toward you is in a category that frightens him. Not because he has power to stop it, because he does not, but because of what you will do with it once you receive it in the right spirit, with the right alignment and the right stewardship. A fully resourced, spiritually aligned child of mine, moving in their divine assignment with an infinite source behind them. That is the thing the enemy fears above almost any other scenario. And so his strategy is not to prevent the check from being written. It was written before you were born. He cannot touch it. His strategy is to prevent you from being in the right posture to receive it when it arrives. He is not trying to steal the provision from heaven's treasury. He is trying to interfere with your receiving. This distinction is critical. The check is coming regardless. What is at stake is your readiness to receive it fully, to recognize it when it arrives, and to handle it with the wisdom and spirit that allows it to accomplish its full purpose in your life. The enemy knows that if he can compromise your receiving, if he can have you doubt at the wrong moment, panic at the wrong development, mishandle the first installment of the blessing, he can limit the impact of what I am releasing, even if he cannot stop the release itself. So let me show you his specific tactics in this season, so that you can see them when they appear and respond with authority rather than confusion. His first tactic is the whisper of unworthiness. It comes in the quiet moments, after a message like this one, when you are alone with your thoughts and the emotional charge of the words has faded. He will come softly, almost reasonably, and say, "But really, look at your actual life. Look at your mistakes. Look at the things you've done wrong, the faith you've failed to exercise, the prayers you didn't pray consistently enough. Are you really the person this is for?" He will make the question sound humble, even spiritually mature. He will dress it in the language of realistic self-assessment. But it is a trap, because the answer to, "Are you worthy of this?" is never meant to be yes. The correct answer is no, but God gives it anyway because he is good. The enemy wants the honest no to become a barrier. True humility receives grace. The enemy's false humility refuses it. His second tactic is the strategy of distraction through crisis. Watch for this carefully. In the period immediately preceding a major breakthrough, the enemy often engineers or dramatically amplifies a situation that demands all of your attention. A sudden financial emergency, a relationship conflict that explodes without warning, an unexpected complication in a seemingly stable area of your life. The purpose of the crisis is not to destroy you, it is to consume you. To fill your entire field of vision with what is going wrong, so that what is approaching from heaven can arrive without your awareness or preparation. The crisis is designed to make you forget the word you just received. Do not let it. Address what needs addressing with practical wisdom, but refuse to let any engineered crisis become the whole story of this season. His third tactic is the voice of delay. This isn't the right time. You need to prepare more before this can happen. Wait until your circumstances are more settled. You have too many unresolved issues for God to release something like this right now. He will use every open question in your life, every unresolved area, every ongoing struggle to construct an argument for why the timing is not yet right. And here is the truth the enemy cannot afford for you to see. There will never be a right time by his calculation. His calculation always produces the same answer. Not yet. Wait. Later. You're not ready. This is a tactic, not a reality. The timing is mine, not his. And my timing says, this season, now. His fourth tactic is the use of other people's voices. He will find someone in your life, someone you trust, someone who loves you in their own limited way. And he will use their skepticism, their practical concern, their worried questions to speak doubt into your spirit. Are you sure you should be believing for something like that? Don't get too excited about things like this. Be realistic. Those voices are not enemies. The people using them often love you and are trying to protect you, but the enemy uses them as instruments of limitation. Love the people, discern the tactic, and hold your ground. In the first pinned comment, I have prepared a sacred gift, 7 days of angelic whispers for financial peace and blessing, set aside specifically for you. It is not sold to you. It is a revelation released to you. Go now and receive it. Saidu. Sacred prayer, the words that open the vault of heaven. My beloved child, before we go further into what is coming, I want to bring you into a moment of real communion with me. Not a recitation of words, not a ritual of religious performance, but a genuine turning of your heart toward mine. An honest, expectant, surrendered prayer that aligns your spirit with what I am releasing and opens the channels of heaven's provision over your specific life. Pray these words now with everything in you. Let them be the cry of a soul that actually believes what it is saying. Father, I come before you in this moment as I am, not as I wish I were, not in a performance of spiritual perfection that I do not possess, but exactly as I am, with all the unfinished places and the questions and the history of waiting that is still not fully resolved. I come because you invited me. I come because your word says that you desire to prosper me, that you take pleasure in the welfare of your servant, that your plans for me are plans of peace and not of disaster, to give me a future and a hope. I come because that word is still true today, regardless of what my circumstances have looked like. I come standing on your word. Father, I receive right now what you are releasing over my life. I receive the extraordinary provision that has been prepared in heaven and is moving toward my specific name and my specific story. I do not receive it with a spirit of entitlement, as though I have earned what you are giving, or as though you owe me something because of my faithfulness. I receive it with a spirit of wonder and gratitude, the gratitude of someone who understands that what they are being given is not the product of their own effort, but the outpouring of a love that chose them before they ever chose anything at all. I ask you now, Father, to prepare me as completely as you need to prepare me. If there is anything in me, any lingering unforgiveness, any hidden pride, any doubt that I have been carrying without surrendering, any small stronghold of the enemy that I have allowed to remain, I ask you to reveal it now, not to condemn me, but to clear me, not to shame me, but to make me ready, I do not want anything in me to become an obstruction to what you are pouring out. Make me a prepared vessel. Clear every channel. Remove every barrier. Let the provision that is coming in find a heart that is ready to receive it and a spirit that knows what to do with it. I speak now against every tactic of the enemy that has been deployed against my receiving. I speak against the whisper of unworthiness. I speak against the strategy of distraction. I speak against the voice of delay. I speak against every person, circumstance, or internal conversation that has been used to build a ceiling on my believing. In the name and by the authority I carry as your child, I declare, every ceiling is removed. Every constructed limitation is demolished. Every argument against the magnitude of what you have prepared for me is silenced. The provision is mine to receive, and I receive it now, fully, with both hands open and my spirit aligned with your purpose. Let my stewardship of this provision be worthy of its magnitude. Let me be a channel, not a reservoir. Let what flows through me touch and transform every life it was intended to reach. Let the mission you placed in me have the resources it has always needed, so that what you built in my character during the years of lack can be fully expressed in the years of abundance that are coming. Let the testimony of this season be one that opens doors of faith for others, that when they hear what happened to me, they believe more deeply in you. I trust you, Father. I love you. And I receive, with every part of my being, everything you have prepared. In your name and by your word, I declare it. It is done. Amen. 7 angelic whispers for extraordinary provision. My beloved child, as that prayer moved through you, as those words found their way from the surface of your awareness into the deeper places of your spirit, something happened in the spiritual realm that I want you to know about. The angels assigned to your life, the ones who have been present and active in your story since before you drew your first breath, received a new activation. They were already moving. But prayer aligns the spiritual atmosphere in a way that amplifies their work, that clarifies their assignment, that opens channels in the unseen world that preparation creates, but prayer releases. What I want to share with you now are the 7 specific whispers those angels are carrying into the atmosphere of your life in this moment. These are not general encouragements. These are precise, targeted messages being released directly into the specific territory of your situation. Receive each one. Let each one land in a different room of your heart. The first angelic whisper. The number in your account does not define the number in your assignment. And your bank account right now is a record of your past. It is a reflection of every season you have navigated, every limitation you have worked within, every financial story that has been told over your life up to this point. It is a photograph of where you have been, not a prophecy of where you are going. The angels are whispering this first message because they have been watching you allow the current balance to speak too loudly, allowing it to set the ceiling on what you believe is possible, to define the scope of what you dare to expect. The number in your account was produced by your history. The number in your assignment was written by me before history began. They are very different numbers. The account balance was always temporary. The assignment was eternal. And the provision being released now is being sized to the assignment, not to the account. Stop letting the snapshot speak over the blueprint. The second angelic whisper. The provision is already in motion. You are not waiting for it to start. You are meeting it on its way. This second whisper is specifically for those who have been in a long season of waiting. Those who have prayed and believed and positioned themselves and done everything they understood to do, and have still not seen the manifestation. If that is you, this whisper is the angel saying, you did not miss it. The provision is not stuck somewhere waiting for you to do one more thing right. It is moving. It has been moving. The journey it is on from heaven's economy to your natural circumstances has specific steps, and those steps are being completed even in moments when you see no visible evidence of movement. You are not waiting for the provision to start. You are traveling toward a meeting point where your faithfulness and heaven's release converge. That meeting point is closer than you have ever been. Keep going. The third angelic whisper. Fear is not a required passage to this blessing. Some of you have been through so many hard seasons that fear has become embedded in your experience of faith. You have unconsciously come to believe that the anxiety and the pressure and the sleepless nights are part of the spiritual dues that must be paid before a blessing can arrive. That somehow the intensity of the fear is proportional to the magnitude of what follows. This is not a principle I established. Fear is not a spiritual prerequisite. It is the enemy's preferred atmosphere, and it does not belong in the corridor that leads to your blessing. The angels are whispering, you do not need to resolve all your fears before the provision arrives. The provision is coming to meet you in the midst of your incomplete courage, your still present questions, your imperfect faith. It does not require you to be fearless first. It requires you to remain open. Remaining open in the presence of fear is itself the act of courage I am asking for. The fourth angelic whisper, your small private act of faith, was the seal that authorized the release. Many of you are wondering what specific action, what specific prayer, what specific spiritual achievement unlocked this season of provision. You are searching your memory for the moment of grand faith that deserved this magnitude of response. I want to tell you something surprising. It was not the grand moment. It was the small one, the one no one saw. The one that happened in the middle of an ordinary week when you were alone and tired and had every reason to let go, and you didn't. The morning you chose to pray when nothing felt inspired about it. The moment you whispered, I still trust you, when every circumstance was contradicting every promise. That private, quiet, unspectacular act of faithfulness was seen by the angels. It was carried before my throne, and it was received as the specific seal that authorized the release of what has been prepared for you. You will not always know which small act of faith was the tipping point, but I do, and I want you to know. It was received. The fifth angelic whisper. The magnitude of what is coming was always intentional. The shock is the testimony. Some of you, even after receiving the blessing, will be tempted to explain it away, to find a natural explanation for it, to minimize it in your conversations with others so that you don't seem boastful or unrealistic. The angels are whispering against this tendency right now, before it happens. The magnitude of what is coming was designed to be undeniable. I made it large enough that you could not shrink it to something explainable by human effort. I made the number so extraordinary, the timing so precise, the circumstances so sovereignly arranged that the only honest conversation anyone can have about it begins with the words, God did this. The bank being shocked was always part of the plan. When people cannot explain what happened to you, they will ask you directly. And when they ask, you will have the most important answer you have ever given in your life. Don't diminish the magnitude. Let it be what it is. Let the testimony speak at full volume. The sixth angelic whisper. What you will do with it is already written. You already know more than you think. You do not need to have a complete, detailed plan for managing extraordinary provision before it arrives. The assignment that this provision is designed to fund is not a mystery that you need to solve from scratch. It is encoded in you, in the things you care about most deeply, in the people whose suffering makes you ache, in the work you have done poorly resourced that you have always known could be so much more with adequate support. The vision you carry in your heart for what you would do if you could. That vision is the writing. I gave you that vision because it was always meant to be funded. The provision coming now is not looking for a new assignment. It is meeting the one you have been carrying all along. Trust what is already in you. It was placed there by me for this exact moment. The seventh angelic whisper. This is not the peak of your story. It is the launch pad. This final whisper is perhaps the most critical one for your long-term well-being, so receive it carefully. The trillion-dollar moment, as extraordinary as it is not the summit of your life. It is not the ending of the story. It is not the destination you have been fighting toward where you finally arrive and can rest. It is the beginning of the most productive, most impactful, most significant chapter of your existence. What is coming is not a finish line. It is a launch pad. The resources being released now are not for you to arrive in comfort. They are for you to launch into impact. The blessing is the fuel. The mission is the flight. And the flight has not yet begun. When this provision arrives and you feel the temptation to exhale and settle, resist it. Because what comes after the $1 trillion check is the reason the $1 trillion check was written. If you feel drawn to go deeper, to receive private messages, sacred daily content, and a closer spiritual community that walks this walk with intention, the door to this channel's membership is open for you. In the first pinned comment, you will find that door as well. This is not a public space. It is a sanctuary reserved for those who desire a closer walk. Enter if you are ready. Signs to watch. How you will know the check is near, my beloved child. I do not ask you to believe without landmarks. I have never called my children into faith without also placing along the path the confirmations that tell them they are moving in the right direction, that what was spoken over them is true, that what is approaching is real and near. So let me give you the specific signs that will appear in the days and weeks surrounding the arrival of your $1 trillion moment. These are the markers. When you see them, you will know. The first sign is an unexpected and significant contact. In the period leading to your breakthrough, someone will enter your life, or re-enter it after a long absence, who carries something important. This might be a person you have not heard from in years, appearing suddenly with an invitation, or a piece of information, or a connection that opens a door you have never seen open before. It might be an entirely new person, someone who finds you in an unusual way at an unusual moment, who says something that resonates with unexpected precision with what you have been praying about in private. Pay attention to who appears. The enemy will try to make you dismiss these encounters as coincidence. They are not coincidence. They are divine appointments, the moments when I am moving human pieces into position in the architecture of your blessing. Receive everyone who arrives in this season with attentiveness, with prayer, with openness. Some of them are the delivery system for what is coming. The second sign is a noticeable internal acceleration. There will come a moment, perhaps gradually, perhaps suddenly, when you notice that things that have been moving slowly begin to move at a different pace. Decisions that have been stuck for months will resolve. Opportunities that seemed dormant will become alive again. Conversations that had been stalled will find their conclusion. There will be an almost electric quality to the atmosphere of your days, as though the invisible machinery of heaven has engaged a higher gear. This is the spirit of Kairos, of appointed time, and it manifests as a kind of productive momentum that you cannot fully explain, but that you can definitely feel. When you notice this acceleration, do not resist it or question it. Lean into it. Cooperate with the pace that I am setting. Things are moving because the appointed time is near. The third sign is that the enemy's opposition will intensify just before the breakthrough. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive sign, so receive it carefully. The period immediately preceding a major breakthrough is often the period when the enemy's opposition is most intense. The doubts become louder. The fears become more vivid. The circumstances around you may feel more pressured, not less. Sleep may become difficult. Anxiety that had been managed may resurface. This is not a sign that the blessing is further away. This is almost always a sign that it is very close. The enemy increases his noise when he is running out of time to use it. When the pressure in the spiritual atmosphere around your life intensifies without a clear, natural cause, recognize it for what it is. The enemy's final desperate attempt to prevent a breakthrough he knows he cannot permanently stop. Do not retreat when the opposition increases. Advance. The fourth sign is the number 7 appearing in unusual patterns in your daily life. 7 is the signature of my completion, my covenant, my fullness. It appears throughout all of my creation as the mark of what is finished, whole, and divinely appointed. In the period leading to your breakthrough, watch for the number 7 appearing in unexpected and recurring ways. On clocks, in addresses, in numbers you encounter in the ordinary course of your day. Not every appearance is significant, but when a pattern develops, when the 7s are coming with unusual frequency and are accompanied by that inner recognition, that spiritual knowing that says this is not random, Receive it as my whisper that a cycle is completing, that something that has been held in heaven in preparation is being readied for release, that the fullness of what I promised is approaching. The fifth sign is a dream or a vision that carries unusual clarity and weight. In this season, many of you will receive a dream that is distinctly different from ordinary sleep. It will be vivid in a way that ordinary dreams are not. It will carry an emotional weight, joy, awe, a sense of sacred significance that lingers into the waking hours. It may show you abundance in some form, flowing water, open doors, fields of harvest, or light entering a space that was previously dark. It may contain specific details, faces, numbers, locations, objects. Write it down immediately upon waking. Do not let it fade. Pray over it. Ask me for the interpretation, and I will give it to you in the right time, in the right way. Dreams of this quality, in this season, are not the random firing of a sleeping brain. They are the upload of heaven into the receiving center of your spirit, the night delivery of what needs to be deposited before the morning provision arrives. The sixth sign is a deep and inexplicable peace. There will come a specific moment, perhaps in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, perhaps in the quiet of an early morning before anyone else is awake, when a peace will descend on you that does not match your circumstances at all. A peace that has no natural explanation. A stillness that is not produced by the resolution of any problem or the improvement of any situation. This is what I described through my servant Paul as the peace that surpasses understanding. The supernatural settling of a spirit that has received a communication from heaven that everything is in order, that the provision is in transit, that the waiting is nearly over. When this peace comes, receive it not as mere emotion but as testimony. It is my voice saying, "Be still. It is done." What has been spoken over you is already accomplished in the spirit, and the natural world is simply catching up. After the blessing, the morning that changes everything. My beloved child, I want to take you forward now in holy imagination, not into fantasy, but into sacred preparation. I want to speak with you about what happens after the $1 trillion check clears, about the morning that follows the miracle. Because one of the things I have observed across centuries of human experience with extraordinary provision is that the moment after the blessing is often as important as the moment of the blessing itself, and most people are not prepared for it. The morning after a blessing of this magnitude will not feel the way you have imagined it would feel. There will be joy, yes, an overwhelming, undeniable, face-soaking joy that you will not be able to contain and will not want to contain. A joy that is connected not just to the blessing itself, but to everything the blessing represents. Every prayer that was answered in this, every season of hardship that was redeemed in this, every time you held on when letting go would have been easier, now made visible and tangible and real. That joy will be real and right and holy. Do not suppress it. Let it be full. Let the tears come. Let the worship that rises be uninhibited and extravagant. It is the proper response to what I have done. But beneath the joy, or perhaps alongside it, running as a parallel current, there will be something you may not have expected, a profound and sacred gravity, a weight that is not heaviness, but is seriousness, a sense of having stepped into something enormous that carries with it responsibilities as significant as its blessings. This gravity will feel different from the anxiety you have known in seasons of lack. It does not constrict or diminish. It expands you. It calls forth from you a quality of seriousness and intention and purposefulness that you have always had in potential, but have never had the resources to fully express. Receive this gravity as gift, not burden. It is the mark of a person who understands what they have been entrusted with and takes that trust seriously. It is the foundation of the kind of stewardship that ensures the blessing multiplies rather than diminishes over time. The morning after will also bring a new clarity about people. The blessing will function like a light suddenly turned on in a room. It will reveal things that the darkness had been obscuring. Some relationships will deepen rapidly. People who were already trustworthy, already genuinely committed to your well-being, already part of the mission I have placed on your life. Those relationships will strengthen and become the scaffold for everything that follows. But some relationships will become complicated. Not because those people are bad people, but because significant change in one person always creates a complex dynamic in the relationships around them. Some people will process your blessing through their own unresolved feelings of comparison or inadequacy. Some will approach you with a new agenda. Some who were peripheral will suddenly become very present. Discernment will be essential in this period. Move slowly in forming new financial or business relationships. Invest quickly in people of proven character whose love for you preceded the blessing. The morning after will also be the morning when your history makes complete sense for the first time. Every season of lack that you have walked through, every year of thin provision, every moment of financial pressure, every closed door, every prayer that seemed to go unanswered for longer than you could understand, will suddenly resolve into meaning in the light of what has arrived. You will see with stunning clarity how each hard season was producing in you exactly what you needed to be able to carry this magnitude of blessing. The character formed by scarcity, the wisdom developed by navigating limitation, the humility built by years of needing me even for ordinary things, the sensitivity to others in need that was cultivated by your own experience of need. All of it, every apparently wasted or painful year, will appear in the morning after light as preparation. And in that clarity, you will not be able to look at it with anything but gratitude. In the first pinned comment, I have prepared a sacred gift. 7 days of angelic whispers for financial peace and blessing, set aside specifically for you. It is not sold to you. It is a revelation released to you. Go now and receive it. Stewardship. What extraordinary provision demands of the one who carries it. My beloved child, I must now speak to you about something that many find unglamorous, but that I consider absolutely essential. Stewardship. The management of what has been given. The discipline of handling extraordinary provision in ways that honor its source and serve its purpose. Because here is a truth that I need you to carry as a foundation for everything else. The size of the blessing and the quality of the stewardship are not independent variables. How you handle what I give you directly affects the sustainability, multiplication, and legacy of that giving. I am speaking about this now, before the blessing arrives, because preparation is always better than correction. Stewardship begins not with a financial plan, but with a spiritual posture. Before, it is a set of decisions about where to put resources and how to invest and what to give away and what to keep. Before any of that, stewardship is the orientation of the heart that holds everything with open hands. It is the continual, deliberate practice of remembering that what you have been given was not produced by your effort, but by my grace, that you are a channel for something that originated in me and whose ultimate destination is also in me, and that every decision you make about this provision is being made in my presence and carries accountability before my throne. When you maintain this orientation, when every morning you hold up your hands and say, "All of this is yours and I am the manager, not the owner," the decisions that follow tend to be wise. The posture creates the wisdom. The first practical principle of extraordinary stewardship is this: give before you plan, before you create budgets, before you make investments, before you buy anything, before you restructure your life around the provision you have received. Give. Give generously, intentionally, in the first moment. Give to the ministry or mission or person that I have already been speaking to you about before the blessing arrived. Give as an act of acknowledgement that the source of this provision is not you, and the first fruits of it belong to me. This is not a religious formula. It is a relational practice, a way of beginning the stewardship relationship in the right spirit, with gratitude and trust as the foundation rather than cleverness or calculation. The provision that is given first, in the open-handed posture, tends to multiply in ways that the provision that is gripped and protected does not. The second principle is this: move slowly enough that wisdom can keep up with resources. Extraordinary provision arrives rapidly. Wisdom that is sufficient to manage it well takes time to develop. The gap between those two rates of change is one of the most common sources of blessing destruction in human experience. People receive more than they have ever had, and immediately make decisions as fast as the money arrives. Decisions that look exciting in the moment and costly in retrospect. Do not do this. Build slowly. Make your most consequential decisions after a period of prayer, counsel, reflection, and patience. Surround yourself with wise people whose counsel you trusted before the blessing arrived, not advisors who appear after it. The most important decisions about this provision should not be made in the first week. Let the excitement stabilize. Let the wisdom catch up. The provision is not going anywhere, but a decision made in haste may go somewhere irreversible. The third principle is build for legacy, not for comfort. There is a version of stewardship that is focused primarily on personal comfort and security, ensuring that the blessing creates an insulated life, a protected existence, a removal from need or risk or challenge. That version is understandable, but it is not the full calling of extraordinary provision. I did not release at this magnitude so that you could create a comfortable private fortress. I released at this magnitude because there is work to be done that requires this level of resource, people to be helped who are waiting for exactly what you are now able to provide, institutions and causes and communities that need what you are now equipped to give. Build for legacy. Make decisions that create something that will still be growing and serving and impacting decades after you are no longer making decisions for it. Build things that outlast you. Plant trees whose shade you will never personally sit under. That is the highest expression of extraordinary stewardship. Testimony. The day Thomas's bank called him 3 times. My beloved child, I want to tell you a story. Not from a book of ancient history, but from the kind of ordinary, unremarkable life that most people live. The kind where faith is not dramatic, but it is deep. Where provision is not abundant, but it is managed with gratitude. Where the years pass with more faithfulness than recognition. His name was Thomas, and for 31 years Thomas had worked. Not brilliantly, not with the kind of visible gifts that attract attention and opportunity easily. He was a man of steady effort, consistent character, and a faith that was private but not small. He read his Bible in the morning before his children were awake. He prayed honest, unpolished prayers at night. He gave faithfully from what came in, even in the years when what came in was genuinely not enough for everything the month required. Thomas had a habit that began when he was 34 years old and never stopped. Every morning, before the coffee was finished, he would sit at the kitchen table and say out loud, to no one in the room, to me, whatever was on his heart that day. Not formal language, not theological precision. Just a man talking to his God about what was true. On good days, it was gratitude. On hard days, it was confession or complaint or desperate petition. On ordinary days, and most days were ordinary, it was something like, I don't know what you're planning, but I trust you. I believe you see me, and I believe you have something prepared that I can't see from where I'm sitting. Those words were spoken 41 times in the year before everything changed. Thomas did not know that in the spiritual realm, each repetition of those words, each genuine, unpretentious declaration of trust from a man who had every reasonable cause to stop trusting, was being received and recorded and weighted against the preparation that had been underway on his behalf for years. He did not know that the angels assigned to his life had been increasingly active in the months leading up to what was coming. He noticed that he was sleeping more peacefully than usual. He noticed that he felt, in a low-grade, consistent way, a sense that something was about to shift. He didn't tell anyone. He just held it. On a Tuesday morning, in the middle of his most ordinary week, his phone rang. A name he hadn't seen in years appeared on the screen. He almost let it go to voicemail. He answered. What followed over the next 42 days was something that Thomas would spend the rest of his life describing as simply the time God moved. A series of events, each individually explicable, but in their sequence and their timing and their precision, so collectively improbable that the phrase coincidence stopped applying somewhere around day 15. A connection made at exactly the right moment, a piece of information arriving through the right person. A legal situation resolved in a way no attorney could fully explain. And at the end of 42 days, a transaction processed. A number deposited. A figure that caused the bank to call Thomas 3 times in one afternoon to confirm that what they were seeing was accurate. The third time they called, he put the phone down and went to the kitchen. He sat down in his chair. With his face in his hands and his shoulders shaking and his voice barely intelligible, he said the only thing that was true in that moment. "You saw me. The whole time. You saw me. Of course I saw him. Of course I see you." Final blessing, the signature that cannot be forged. My beloved child, we have come to the final words of this message together. And I want to close not with a summary, not with a list of things to remember, but with a blessing, spoken from my heart directly to yours, sealed with the full authority of the one who created you and has never for a single moment stopped working on your behalf. I bless you now with the readiness to receive what you have never received before. Not the readiness of perfect preparation, because you will never feel completely ready, and I know this, but the readiness of genuine belief. The deep, settled, quiet knowing that what has been spoken over your life in this message is true, that it is in motion, and that it belongs to you in the same way that a letter belongs to the person whose name is written on the envelope. Receive it. That envelope has your name on it. I bless you with protection over this word. Every attempt the enemy makes in the hours and days following this message to erode what has been deposited in your spirit, every whisper of doubt, every manufactured crisis, every voice that questions the reality of what you heard, I speak against it now with the authority I carry. This word was planted in you today. It has my protection. The enemy can shout at the door, but he cannot enter the room where this truth has taken root. Stand on it. I bless you with the grace to carry extraordinary provision without being changed by it in the ways that provision can corrupt a person who is not spiritually grounded. May the abundance not produce pride in you. May the blessing not create distance between you and the people who walked with you through the lack. May you remain as accessible and as humble and as genuinely kind as you have been in every season before this one. And even more so, because now you will have the resources to back up every compassion you have ever felt with something tangible and real. I bless your family with the overflow. This check has your name on it, but the provision belongs to the whole story of your family's life. The people who love you, who have watched you hold on through the hard seasons, who have believed alongside you when belief required something real. Let them taste the sweetness of this season fully. Let them be touched by what I am releasing through you. Let the blessing not stop at the edge of your personal life, but flow outward into every relationship that was formed in the years before the breakthrough. And I bless you with the testimony. Not just the part of the story where the bank is shocked, but the full story. The 30 years or the 40 years or the whole length of the faithfulness that preceded the shock and the life that follows it. That testimony is worth more than any financial figure. That testimony is the weapon that defeats despair in other people's lives. That testimony, told honestly and with the full weight of everything it costs to live it, is the most powerful tool you will ever carry. Tell it. Tell all of it. Tell it without minimizing the magnitude of what happened and without minimizing the years of faithfulness that preceded it. Let the whole story be told, because the whole story is the proof that I am who I say I am. The check is signed. It was signed before time began. Your name is on it, and it is in transit. The bank will be shocked. Let them be shocked. That is part of the plan. And when the shock is finished and the provision is settled and the morning after has become the new ordinary, when people ask you what happened, look them in the eyes and tell them the truth. God did it. He saw me the whole time, and he does not forget what has been given to him in faith. In the first pinned comment, I have prepared a sacred gift, 7 days of angelic whispers for financial peace and blessing, set aside specifically for you. It is not sold to you. It is a revelation released to you. Go now and receive it. Write in the comments below, "My name is on the check." Declare it, believe it, and receive everything heaven has prepared.